let me focus all of that energy
Yeah.
on the 20 percenters that I'm looking for that will make 80% of the difference.
I'm going to push back on that.
I would expect nothing less.
I think a couple things come into play. Hold on. One, hold on. I'm pushing the wrong thing. Not now. Get lost. I want to go here. Okay, so it comes, I get it. Hypothetically, intellectually, I'm on board. Real world, not so much. And what happens is, I think people convince themselves, yes, I want to be a buyer agent. Yes, I want to be a listing agent. Yes, I want to be a realtor. Yes, I want to be anything. Yes, I want to lose weight and get better health. Whatever, pick it. And I think in their mind, yes, I do. In their heart, yes, I do. The rest of their freaking body screaming out, no freaking way. Ain't happening here today, right? And they they give it their all for about 12 hours.
Yep.
They figure out, whoa, it's the old millionaire. I want to be a millionaire. Great. Here's what you got to do. Whoa, maybe I don't. Right.
I'm finishing a book called Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell. Great book. And he quotes Seth Godin, who said, never hire somebody you don't work with first. And so he says, give them a paid task.
Hypothetically, the real world, when you have a choice of one or one, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm pushing back here because
well, I just wonder, right, but I wonder about with somebody elsewhere, just say, look, I'm going to give you a buyer lead. We're going to go into a we're going to go into a referral agreement, and I'm going to see if you'll work these leads. And if so, I've got a treasure trove of more. But if they don't cut it, you've never even onboarded them. You work with them before you hire them.
Intellectually, hypothetically, yes.
So John has an example of that. He shared with me.
I've got hundreds of those.
15 years ago, one of the guys in Carolinas, he hires them, brings them in. They go into a pool of people that are calling, and if they last 3 days, then he talks to them. Something like that.
Okay, let's talk about it for a quick minute, though, you guys. One of the key factors I think almost everybody fails to recognize, for the last 10 years, it was a different set of rules, right? Yeah, you can hire, you can do this, you can do that, go find somebody else, all that, whatever. You can fail at whatever, listing, buying, whatever, and keep going, because the market was on the up. The market ain't on the up anymore. So all these coaching gurus that have never been in a down market telling you how to win. Okay, cool. Tell me how to win in a losing market. Yeah, I don't know about that. Well, then why am I talking to you? Right?
So John has his coaching call today, and he is going to get pushback from this
get my
coach
right?
to all of this.
And I'm all right with it. I pay for that. But again, all these gurus telling you how to get listings, how to do this, how to do that have been in the business less than 10 years, to them I say, yeah, thank you, but how do you deal when mortgage rates are going up instead of down? How do you deal with sellers that want whatever and buyers want whatever? You've never dealt with that. Oh, I don't know. But they won't tell you that because they can't tell you that, right? That's why you go to somebody like Gary. But I would argue probably 3/4 of the brokers in the real estate game right now were not in business in 2004, 5, 6, 7, 8.
That's fair.
Yeah, 1 minute to 8.
Let me ask you this. On this call, anybody here been in the business longer than 10 years?
Yes.
You and me, right?
No, wait, Crushview's James. He is. Mike Herring's on Facebook.
Yeah. But you can go through the list. There ain't many, right? Yeah. That were there when the prices were going down, when the banks weren't lending, right? And they didn't want to lend. They couldn't lend. They wouldn't lend. Investors weren't, well, shit, even back then, you had massive inventory because it was overbuilt, but you had foreclosures and short sales, which drove prices down. We don't have that this time. So, okay, 8 o'clock, here we go. I was almost saying Friday, right? Ooh. Even though it feels like Friday, it sure does.
You
Um,
look like Friday.
yeah, yeah. But at any rate, so yesterday's yesterday. It was super great. I hope you had an awesome day yesterday. And today's today, or tomorrow's tomorrow. Tomorrow's Thanksgiving, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Tomorrow, yeah. Probably
See.
have some bad football on, maybe. I don't know. Forgot to take my happy joy today. But today is today. And before we get started on the conversation for today, I want to point out a couple of things that are going to have a massive impact on our lives. The first one is renters versus owners, mortgage holders versus rentals. Okay. Right now, it costs 52% more to have a mortgage than it does rent on average. I don't know, wherever you are, it's different, but it's way cheaper to rent right now, right? Which is why a lot of people are opting to rent as opposed to buy, okay? Which is keeping the number of transactions down, okay? They won't buy at the price sellers want to sell. They won't buy at the price lenders want for their money, okay? So they're opting to rent, okay? And this becomes a supply issue, right? Because as the rentals get used up, everybody's renting them, supply goes down. What happens when supply goes down to rent prices? They go up, right? So all these people that are choosing to rent right now because it's cheaper than owning are going to start seeing their rents go up. And rent's usually a year-to-year operation, so we're probably going to take a year, maybe two. And you're going to see the rents start to skyrocket. That's going to be an issue in the coming months. Issue number two is commercial and multifamily. That doesn't affect us. Oh, yeah, it does. Oh, yeah, it does. Because who gives money to these people? They're called banks. And when this stuff goes to crap, which is what's happening right now, you're starting to see resets on the commercial, and they can't do it. They're starting to give the properties back. The commercial properties going back to the banks. The multifamily is going to start going back to the banks, especially when this rent starts to go the other way and the mortgage prices come down. But the banks are also the same banks that lend on houses. And they're getting ready to take back a bunch of real estate that they don't want. That's going to crush their balance sheets. And so they don't want to take on any risk lending to homeowners or potential homeowners. So it's getting very difficult, if you haven't noticed, to get a loan. It's expensive and it's hard. All right. Even if you want to put out the money, there's 1,000 flaming hoops you're going to have to jump through to get a loan right now. It's because the banks don't want to lend. This goes back to 2008, 2007, 8, 9, 10, when the banks would not lend for nothing. All right. Remember this saying, cash is king.
Yep.
Right? Remember that? Say hello to my little friend. Cash is king. That's back.
Yeah.
With me on this?
Yes.
The problem is, hold on, I gotta get a cleaner here. The problem is, everybody, not everybody, the people with cash have it in T-bills and government bonds getting 5.5%. They're not putting it into houses. So all this is going to impact the number of buyers, the capability of borrowing, and it's going to impact the sellers. Okay, because the sellers, a couple things are going to happen. Rent's going to even out with the mortgages, which is most likely going to happen. And some sellers are going to have to come down. But if you're at a fixed rate for 30 years and we're only 5 years into that 30-year period, they've got some grace that they're feeling there. One thing they might feel, though, is a loss of a job, death, divorce, disease, all that kind of stuff. You're going to see some builders start to take it on the chin. The ones that weren't heavily, full of their own cash and whatnot, smaller builders might take a hit. You'll see some things there. But we have a massive supply issue. That's what's holding everything prices up. A massive supply. issue, a lack of supply issue. Jeff, you got anything to add on that? Does that make sense? You guys buying what I'm saying here?
Yeah,
Yes.
this is just historical. This thing is a cycle that keeps happening over time. And what John is saying already happened to us in 08, 9, 10, similar.
The significant difference was back then, there was a ton of inventory. This time there's not inventory. Right? We had whole buildings where the developer was practically giving these condos away. Not anymore. Not anymore. Think about it. I remember Ron Romano, Inlet Beach. If you guys don't know it, it's now what, 800 grand maybe to buy some sand over there, millions to buy houses, right? This is east of Rosemary, just west of where Panama City's coming.
Yeah.
Ron Romano, hey, you should buy these lots. They're only 35,000. You should buy these lots. They're only 35,000, right? Now they're more than that, right? But the reason why they were 35,000 is there was a ton of them, right? There was plenty supply. Unfortunately, I didn't buy them. I didn't have the checkbook at the time. But you got anybody calling you telling you should buy some land on 38 for 35,000?
No.
Right? I remember trying to talk my father-in-law into buying one of these houses, like a block back from the beach in Inlet Beach for like 400 grand. It had the blowing Tyvek paper on it. It was 3/4 built, all this stuff, right? He's just looking at it going, no. Today, that house is probably $4 or $5 million. Amazing. So my other point is there any of those houses on 30A right now that I could maybe buy for 400 grand? Only house you're buying on 30A is a birdhouse. You can't even get a doghouse. So it's nuts. Average sale price on 30A right now is about, I don't know, 2.4, something like that. I don't know, something like that. So my point is supply is the elephant in the room that's just throwing everything off and why we don't see prices coming down. Okay. But as rents go up, because they have to, because they can, as supply of rental property, just why do you think there's so many apartments popped up in the last 10 years? Right? There's no supply, right? And now they stop making them because there's no money to build them. So that it's the coming years are going to be really funky, people. The big saving grace is this: humans need shelter, and you guys sell shelter. That's super cool, right? That is super cool. I would argue, right? You got shelter, health, you've got energy, oil, gas, heating, fuel, right? And what am I? Food, right? I'd argue there's a fifth. Humans need to blow off steam. They need an outlet, which I call vacations, right? So if you sell shelter and vacations, you got 2 of the 5. Some people call that enough. So you're in a good spot if you're a real estate agent. And if you're selling vacation rental properties, you're really exciting from my perspective. Okay, so that's my little wrap up of where I see the real estate market right now. Anybody disagree, agree, care?
So the job there would be to go find, you're going to have to go find, we talked about this, go find lenders, more than one, probably 5 that'll lend money on something. And everyone, they'll have a budget, they'll have a number, a pot of money that they'll lend, even though they're going to make you go through hoops. But that's going to be your job now, is to find somebody that'll lend to your clients.
So absolutely true. You're going to need more of everything. You're going to need more. If you want more closings, you're going to need more pendings, because a certain number of pendings are going to drop out no matter what you do. You wrap your arms around them, kiss up on them, love them hard, and they're going to say, I don't love you. You'll be like, but I love you. And they're going to blow up. Just the way it is.
John, I was talking with my coach, and he said that you're needing about 10 to 1 in your pipeline. For every one transaction, you need about 10 in your pipeline right now.
Wow.
10 to 1 sounds hard, but yeah, if that's what it is what it is, right? If you want to do whatever number of sales you're going to do, just know, I know we're operating about 30% are falling out. 10 to 1, that's a lot. But at any rate,
Well, that's
whatever
just,
it is,
that's
you're gonna figure it out.
pipeline. That's pipeline
Okay,
that
okay.
or somewhere
Yeah.
along the way.
If you want to close 10, you're gonna need 15 transactions going, right? That's the way it is, because you're gonna lose 30% of them. Hopefully it's only 30%. And if you're really, and here's the thing, you guys, because I hear it with my people. What else can I do? Sometimes you can do everything. Literally everything. We did everything to save their life and they still died. Sucks, but it's true. It goes that way, right? So the answer is more. If you want to close 10, you better have 15. If you want 15, you better have 22. If you want 30, you better have 45 deals, right? That's the environment we are. So then take it back. If you're going to close 45, well, you better have, I don't know, probably 80 listings, right? We used to sell 1 to 1, 2 to 1. I don't know. Is anybody even selling 2 to 1? Probably not right now, right? I've got 50 listings going right now. And if I could play the silence in our office in the mornings and the afternoons, that's the sound of the phone not ringing. It's just, right? It's just the way it is right now. I remember back in the day, you guys might think this is crazy, but I used to counsel our listing agents, you're going to need 20 listings each if you're going to sell anything. If you want to sell, maybe it's back to Mark's 10 to 1. If you're going to sell 2 properties a month, you're going to need 20 listings. All right. And we went out and got 20 freaking listings per person. And then recently it got down to 1 listing, 1 sale, right? Multiple offers, close it and go. Is it going to close? Well, if it doesn't, I got 8 other buyers lined up to step in. So yeah, it will close. Just a matter of who and when. Ain't that anymore. Okay. So you need more. You need more listings, which means you need more appointments, which means you're going to need more conversations with more people. But that's the market. All right. You don't have to play it. You know, we're going to find a lot of people choose not to play it. But if you're still playing 1 listing, 1 sale, good luck. And if you're unfortunate enough to have that 1 listing equal 1 sale and you say, see, you're lucky, right? It's like the person who wins the lottery. That's not a good plan, right? You got lucky. So that's what's going on with that. And so let's talk about this for a minute. This thing's a roller coaster, right? We went from 2019 expecting things to 2019 expecting things to slow. COVID hits, they pour a bunch of money, prices go up, right? And then transactions stayed up. So we stayed home. Remember all this stuff? We stayed home. We didn't buy anything. We didn't go to restaurants. We didn't go on vacation. We didn't spend a lot of money, but we got money in from the government. Stimulus checks, PPP loans, et cetera, and so forth. So we're getting money in and we're not spending any. And what we did is we paid off our debt, right? Americans had the lowest rate of debt coming out of COVID than any time in history. It was amazing. They had nothing to spend their money on. Amazon, a few things, right? And they bought guns. But outside of that, they weren't going to restaurants. They weren't going on vacation. They weren't buying clothes. They weren't buying stuff, right? They just didn't. They couldn't. A lot of places were closed. You couldn't go to the gym, right? All that stuff. So you had extra money and you paid off your debt. And you know what you did? You went and bought a house that was bigger because now I'm working from home, right? I'm going to school from home. So I need a gym in my house that has a Peloton. Remember when Peloton was worth like a gold? Not so much anymore. Now they're worth ironing boards. So we stayed home. We worked from home. We taught from home. We worked out from home. We entertained on our Netflix account at home, right? So we need a bigger house. I need a different house. Okay. And we moved to the suburbs because we couldn't get into town. And I'm not going back to that petri dish ever again. I need to work in the suburbs. So we bought houses on the suburbs. And that drove the price to the moon because money was cheap as crap. Right? So we bought a bunch of houses. Transactions went to the moon. God, that was cool. Right? If you were in real estate, what? Right? So all that stuff was happening. But then COVID ended, right? And they stopped the money. No more for you, right? And you had to start paying it back. What do you mean? I got to pay it back? Yes. All those moratoriums on rent, student loans, all that stuff. They said, well, wait a minute, you got to pay that crap back. And people started to pay that back, and they found their checkbooks getting thinner. They started to go out and buy stuff, right? And all of a sudden, we saw their low record debt. U.S. credit card debt's over $1 trillion now for the first time ever. Personal debt is over $1 trillion. It reversed course, and now we're crazy high. People are burning through their credit cards. Okay, this is probably the last Christmas you're going to feel for a little while, where people are spending a decent amount on Christmas. Okay, you're going to run out of money. Just right. Next going to show up is unemployment. It's been very sticky, but it's going to happen. Folks are going to start getting laid off because it's starting to work. All these rates, the cost of everything starting to work. People are going to start spending less. I'm spending less. I'm not buying any new, I never bought new cars, but I'm not buying any of that stuff. I'm not going on vacation, right? We're seeing it in our rent numbers coming down, right? Staycations. All this stuff is, there's going to be a constriction. It's finally starting to show up, okay? And you're going to see 2024, we've talked about, is going to be a tightening up all the way around, okay? So if you don't feel rich, let me ask you, anybody here feel rich? Remember when your equity was through the moon? Your IRA was going nuts. You get everything. You just felt like a superhero. You went out and bought a bunch of properties. All right. You just felt like a star. Ain't nobody feeling like a star anymore. Not even Elon Musk. He's taking it on the chin on a lot of different things right now. It just is what it is. Hell, ChatGPT is fighting among each other right now. It's hard. It's hard. We got 2 wars. We started with no wars. And now we got 2, right? Only ones winning here are Halliburton and General Dynamics, all those guys selling bullets. But so what's happening right now, guys, look for 2024 to be tightening up. And one thing I know is this. Really, there's 3 things I know. And I know you know because we talk about them every time. If you want to win in any market, or Jeff, you got anything to add before I go into this?
I'll wait until you're done with it, but
Right.
you're going to.
One thing that works in every market, up markets, down markets, flat markets, great markets, crappy markets, all markets. If you talk to your people, talk to them. People talking to people. Is that a Barbra Streisand song? It should be, right? Talk to your people. Know their wants, needs, hopes, desires. These are just conversations you have to have consistently over time in neighborhoods you want to dominate. If you do that, you will get known and you will know them. That's where the wins are, right? Can we all say this out loud to everybody? Preview. All right, preview. We've talked about this, I think, every day. You got to preview people. Go look at the stuff you want to dominate. You got to know the product. All right, you got it. 3, I'm gonna have to squeeze it because we're running out of room here. 3 is study the market. All right, we all know this. Nothing new here. Guarantee you, though, we're not doing all 3 of those. All right, study the market. Because if you do all this, people, you're going to be what is known as a pro, right? Couple things are going to happen. When you start doing all this on a regular, your confidence is going to go to the moon because you're going to know what you're talking about, right? You're going to understand what's going on in the market. It's not going to be, oh, that's weird. You're going to look at it and say, yeah, that's about right. You're going to be able to talk about the properties in detail. They're going to say, I didn't know that. Yeah, I do. That's why people like you hire people like me, right? you're going to be able to talk to people. You're going to know who's doing what and why. And all that's going to give you a ton of confidence. It's going to show up. It's going to show up to the person in the mirror. It's going to show up to the people you're talking to. It's going to show up to your colleagues around you that you work with. It's going to show up to the vendors. It's going to show up everywhere. And people are going to say, you know what? I had my Edward Jones. Edward Jones and real estate are like this, right? Because if I'm paying you money for real estate investing, I'm not paying it to Edward Jones. Okay. I have an Edward Jones person tell me in a whisper, even though we're the only two people in the freaking room, if you got a good deal, tell me. Right? I want to get my kids a place. Right? I'm like, what? And she's like, no, I'm looking for a good deal. When you got your stockbroker looking for real estate, that means you're a professional, right? People, be the pro. It's going to take a minute. You got to put in the time, you got to put in the effort. But if you do, when you do, what? All right.
Right. That's right. So historically, if any of you guys, what happens is, what happened in the past, we talked about this before you guys were all on the call, 30A and Destin were booming, right? Times are good. It's amazing. When Destin and 30A kind of slow down investment wise, then all of a sudden, here comes
Hold on. For those of you that aren't from this area, Destin and 30A are luxury.
Oh yeah, okay. If you're not from here, then the military side of the market, Crestview, Niceville, Navarre. So then all of a sudden, the agents that had a military niche went to the top of the pile because the government still has money and they still move people. So if you guys are connected, if you're in that area, a military area, and you have a connection, you need to become a professional military relocation person so you can help them. And that got a lot of people through the tough times.
So think about this. Go all in, but diversify. That's an oxymoron, right? It's a paradox. It's a whatever. Go all in, but like we sell investment properties, but we sell investment condos, we sell investment houses, we sell investment land. There's a win in there somewhere at all times, usually. I would encourage you, don't just go all military. Or if you do, make sure it's a wide enough military situation such that you can find the wins even in the hard times, right? That's and the other thing I would tell you to do is dance with whom you brung, right? Don't start jumping market to market to market. If you're doing one thing and that's your thing, and you're going to find the next hot thing, you're always going to be chasing. You're going to be behind. You're not going to be a pro. You're going to be an ambulance chaser. And what that means is sometimes your production is going to go down a little bit with the market, but then it's going to go back up with the market. Now you got to be careful that you're not in the buggy whip industry, right? They get hit hard, right? These buggy whippers. When the cars showed up, if you were a buggy whip and you didn't adjust, well, that's different. But real estate's real estate. Okay, people need shelter. So don't hone in so tight that you're gonna put yourself out of business. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And also maybe take a look at where your business is coming from and figure out what it is that you're doing to influence or attract that business. It might be your superpower. If you feel like things are getting slow for you and you don't know what to do, just relax.
So I'm gonna give you guys one last thing here before we leave, and we go on vacation or whatever you do for your family.
Oh yeah.
It's scary times. It's scary times when you're not doing very many transactions and you're not really sure what's going on. Is super scary, high anxiety times. And the reason why it's super scary and there's a lot of anxiety is you don't have confidence in the person in the mirror and their ability to get through this. Okay. But if you do this stuff, your confidence will show up and your anxiety will drop. And you will start to benefit from all those things. Trade quiet time with your anxiety for activity in these things, and you will find your anxiety and your frightening self goes away, and your confident self shows up, and buyers and sellers right behind them. It's as simple as that. It sounds corny, but spend your time here. You won't have time to worry about being scared. The next thing you know, you'll be so goddamn good. People will be lined up to work with you. And your biggest worry then will be, how do you work with so many people? That's a good problem. Okay. Anybody got any holiday wishes they want to throw out to everybody?
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Have a
Happy
blast.
Thanksgiving.
I love you all. This is fun for me in the morning, so I enjoy it. Guys, enjoy your families. Hug them, love them, do all that stuff. Just don't do it online. Don't do it during a Zoom call. All right.
All right, bye.
All right. Yep. See you guys.
Happy Thanksgiving.